So welcome to the November Art League event. I'm Dawn Dilley, I'm the program chair. And today we have Stacey Lynn Quick presenting for us. She is there in the rectangle with the white and the flowers in the background. And she is presenting on trauma and domestic violence and art. But before I introduce her, we have a wonderful announcement. The Exemplary Service Award. And Grace is going to present that. And I am going to, should I share the picture when you announce it or right now?
You can do it right now. Since 2015, some of you know that we have been recognizing individuals who've served in roles of leadership and service through our Art League to the Greater Lafayette Museum of Art. This year's individual has served as the Art League president in 2016 and 17. She chaired the fashion show fundraiser one year. She's currently serving on the scholarship committee. She has been involved with the planning and coordinating of the New Artist 2022 and has also served as a juror in the past 2 different times. She has been instrumental and truly helped the League move into the digital world, especially with New Artists application process. She is quiet and unassuming and works behind the scenes on many League projects. For example, baking cookies for the holiday tea, assisting with jewelry sorting for bling. She is a loyal donor to the League and the Art Museum. I'm extremely pleased to have Buffy Rogers as our Exemplary Service Awardee this year. This award was presented at the museum annual meeting the end of October, and Buffy was out of town. She was at the New Artist meeting the other day, so we grabbed a picture so that we could present it to everyone, and it will be on our website. So if you see her, be sure and send congratulations. Thank you, Dawn. And thank you, Buffy.
Congratulations, Buffy.
Yay!
Who's not here? So, I would like to introduce Stacey Quick. She and Royce have a blended family with 4 amazing kiddos, 28 chickens, 6 hogs, 2 barn cats, and an outdoor dog. In her spare time, she gardens, reads, and color guards the marching band flag spinning. They are very family oriented, and most nights are filled with messy sit-down dinners as a family. She is a pun lover and unique coffee mug collector. Loves to cook and spend time outdoors camping, next to a fire or on the water. And she's an amateur blogger. I put her blog link in the chat if you want to check it out, MsStaceyLynn.blog. She is currently serving as Lafayette and Crawfordsville Community Health Improvement Coordinator for Franciscan Alliance. As a professional organizational trainer and preventionist educator in both administrative and clinical roles, Stacey has extensive experience with sexual assault response, child abuse and neglect interventions, and domestic violence advocacy. She is the co-founder of Power of Prevention Coalition and is currently an active facilitator of a Window Between Worlds Healing Art program. Stacey holds a master's in healthcare administration from Colorado State that specializes in organizational learning and performance, project management, and digital learning for adults. And Ms. Stacey Lynn Quick, take it away.
An awesome introduction, Dawn. I didn't realize I would have such an amazing, hey, here's all the details of Stacey. So thank you for that. When I'm creating later, I'll take these off because I feel like in person is so much better, especially when we're creating and we're sharing. There's a glare on there, but I can't see without them. So I'll try to, if you're like, you know what, Stacey, just take them off for a minute, just let me know. Well, thank you everyone for coming. I'm really excited to share with you all about YWCA and some of the support programs that we are currently offering, and specifically what we call expressions. So tonight, what I'm going to do is share a little bit about YWCA programs and what kind of support groups we have, but specifically, I want to let you experience expressions. And expressions is a trauma-informed, research evidence-based art, healing art. We can't call it therapy because I'm not a licensed therapist. And I'll show you what a window between worlds is, what it means, and how we can have a more trauma-informed approach when it comes to art. I feel like art is something that is expressive. It's a way to let out things, especially for those who have been through trauma like sexual assault, domestic violence. There's so much that goes into that. And the expressions, there's a child or adolescent version, and there's also an adult version. So tonight I'm going to let you experience what expressions is like, and just learn a little bit more about it. And then we'll have time to create if you want to create something tonight, or you don't have to. That's an option. And then if you want to share what you created or what you've experienced, we'll have time kind of at the end of the session if you'd like to do that. Does anyone have any questions thus far? Awesome. Okay, my first question is, can you let me know if you picked up a packet from the museum? If you did, give me a thumbs up or raise your hand. Was anybody able to? Totally fine, totally fine. What, if you could have some scratch paper, something to write on with you, okay, perfect. And then when we get to the creation part, any art supplies or anything that you have with you that you want to be able to create, have that on hand. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to read to you first A Window Between Worlds model, and it's kind of an opening line or statement. It has a trigger warning because some of the stuff that we talk about and expressions is really, really deep, and it's things that can be triggering for other people. There's a lot of healing that takes place. There are survivors of almost every type of trauma that comes to these sessions and tries to find more about themselves and be more aware of what their healing process and journey is. So I'm going to read that to you first, and then I'll go into sharing a little bit more about A Window Between Worlds, and I'll show you the website, which is really cool. And then I'll also share a little bit more our support groups, and then we'll get into the actual session. I'm going to read to you the trigger and warm up. There's a script that I start with to kind of open up the space a little bit. The conversations that we have during expressions, we consider in an open space. So what does that mean? It means we always respect different views and perspectives, and the words and content of some of the stuff that we create could be triggering. If at any point during this session or as we are moving through this workshop, if you need to step away, move around, shut your camera off, go on mute, get a drink, please do so. And then if you have any other questions or want any more support from me after the session, I'll hang out a little bit afterwards so you can talk to me if you'd like. The next part that I'm going to read is A Window Between Worlds, what our model is and how we open up a window between worlds. It's how we introduce the space to someone who's been through trauma. So that's what I'd like to share with you tonight. So before we begin, I want you to know that the workshop we're doing tonight is a window of time for you. This means that it can be a completely safe space to notice your thoughts, your feelings, your needs. And during your window of time, everything you say or do is completely voluntary. I'm going to offer a suggested workshop idea, share about the materials we have available or that you have in front of you, and invite you to create. But there's no right or wrong way to do this. Observing is also participating. What matters about this workshop is that you're taking the time to honor how you're feeling and the thoughts that you're having in the moment, however that looks like for you. So please ask for what you need. Know that I'm here to support you. And if you draw a blank on what to create or write, that's totally fine as well. That is how we introduce a trauma-informed perspective of expressions for people who have been through trauma and kind of been through things that have hurt them. It just opens a space to let them know that we're here, we're all in this together, and we're just going to feel what we're feeling during the workshop. And every workshop has a topic, which leads me to, I'm going to share my screen and share with you A Window Between Worlds, because it is the most amazing program for art that I have ever found. And side note, by no means am I an artist by any means. The workshop idea is what really attracted me to it, is the process behind creation, not just what comes out on the medium. So this is A Window Between Worlds, and it's art transforming trauma is the motto. So what happens is all across the United States, people who have gone through training and become a Window Between Worlds trauma-informed facilitator for these workshops, we can create curriculum and submit it that is shared all across the United States. So someone in California who is working with survivors of domestic violence writes a workshop about how to feel empowered. They can put the template in here, and someone in New York can download and look at and offer that same workshop to participants of their domestic violence program. So it has these different options for searching. You've got art type. There's anything from clay, collage, to digital media, dolls, drawing. There's so much on here. And there's you can do by age range or emotional theme, holiday. There's so much that comes in here. And every workshop, the 2000 Wishes that's shown right here was one that actually the facilitator previous to me at the Y wrote. So it's pretty exciting to see your work created as a workshop on here. Next, I'll share the YWCA homepage to show you how do you get to learn more about what support programs we have. And then we'll get into the workshop. I promise it's coming. So if you click on what we do and go down to additional programs, and it's totally fine if you forget this, the flyer, I can email everyone a flyer that has a QR code that you can just go, it takes you directly to if you want to participate or learn more about how to become a facilitator or get curriculums from A Window Between Worlds. So there's support groups, and there's actually 4 that we offer. There's Parenting the Love and Logic Way, where we help adults supporting youth that have had trauma or things happen to them in their past. And Expressions is actually a part of that as well. So when the parents come, or when we're back to in person, the parents will go and learn about parenting from a different perspective and how to love the child first, regardless of how they're acting. And during that time, we'll take the children and we'll do an expressions workshop, and we'll talk about emotional health and anger management and feelings and bullying and all the different things that come for a child's life. There's also Empower, which is virtual, and it talks about how to heal from domestic violence, or what is like a healthy relationship supposed to be like. It's all kinds of topics. It talks about the power and control wheel. If you know someone or feel like you are someone who's suffering from domestic violence, that's a really good class to sign up for. Reflexiones is expressions, but in Spanish. So we offer that to our Latina population. And Noemi Luego, she's amazing at it. But Expressions is my baby. It's every Thursday, 6 to 7:30. I put out art supplies on Monday, and I'll have anywhere from 4 to 15 participants. And it's an amazing thing, especially at the end, because I start the workshop and it's like blank sheets of paper. And then when we're done, it's so meaningful, and these healings and these powerful stories of how they feel. Okay, so now it's time to go into our workshop. Let me, hang on. Trying to reopen the window. Hang on a second. There we go. Okay, so the workshop that we're going to do tonight is called Victim to Survivor. This is a workshop that I wrote last year. There was at the TAF Art Center, there was a whole huge event. It was when I got onto the YWCA. This is that workshop that I wrote that I want to share with you. And I've tweaked it a little bit to kind of make it more cohesive. It was the first workshop I ever wrote and really what got me into expression. So I'm really excited. Is there any questions before I dive into the workshop? Because I know I'm a talker. Obviously, I have not stopped talking since. So does anyone have any questions at this point? Okay, awesome. The first thing that we're going to do is an activity I like to call a mind dump. So if you have a piece of scratch paper with you, what this does is it's going to clear our mind of anything that's at the forefront, because I don't know about you, but there's so much going on in life with COVID and home and like our health and what we're eating and all these things in front of us. We're going to take 2 minutes, and the mind dump activity, we're just going to set a timer for 2 minutes. And for 2 whole minutes, I want you to write down everything that's on the forefront of your mind. Every thought that comes to you, it could be from what you're having for dinner tomorrow, or how you feel about the workshop, or, oh my goodness, I'm so tired, it's too late for a class like this. It's getting everything in the front of your brain out of the way so we can really dive into our feelings and thoughts on our own personal survival stories. So feel free at this point, if you want to shut your camera off, that's totally fine. This is just a 2-minute section, and go. Thirty seconds left.
So let's say you have to read an incredibly long email from your boss that you have to finish before the big meeting starts.
Okay, and there is our timer. Pencils down. Okay. Now we're going to get into the actual workshop. So go ahead and flip over that sheet of paper that you wrote on. If you use both sides, totally fine. The mentality part of that is, okay, everything's out. I'm going to turn that over. Anything on there that I'm still worried about, I know that I can come back to that after this session is over, and I'm still going to be able to see it and take care of it if I want to. So in the chat box, I have shared a PDF of what I'm going to be reading as part of the workshop, and it's called Victim to Survivor Inspiration. So if you want to take a moment, if you want to have that in front of you as I read it, and then from there, I'll invite you to create from that story. And then we'll have creation time, which I'll play some music and be here if you have any questions or are like, okay, I don't know what's going on. And then if you want, we can share at the end what we've created. And I'll show you a couple of examples and what they mean before I release you to create if you'd like. So give me a thumbs up when you're ready. If you wanted to take a second to download the Victim to Survivor inspiration, let me know you're good to go.
Does anybody need help opening their chat and opening up the PDF?
It's still loading.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to read this to you out loud. And then, you have it there in front of you. You want to go back and reference it. And at the end, there are some questions that are going to prompt us for what we're going to create. And so this is called New Beginnings, Victim to Survivor. And it's empowering yourself to express in the journey of what phase are you in. And as I'm reading this, I want you to think about something that has happened or something that you're feeling, or maybe it's in your past that you were hurt from, and maybe you still are holding on to feelings from that. And what this workshop is meant to do is help you find a way to express that in a healthy way and try to release those emotions and be okay to feel them, even if they're negative. So the word victim. This is a very difficult word to say out loud, I am a victim. It's hard to accept that it exists, hard to share stories with each other where victim becomes a real person. But the fear of saying the word victim, where did this come from? Some would say that being a victim and calling ourselves this shows weakness. Others think that maybe it reveals our most vulnerable state. Why do we not allow this word to be validated, to be accepted? Why do we seek to ignore feelings of pain, hurt, or shame? Sometimes we're met with quotes of positivity of everything happens for a reason, and being grateful for survival does not allow these feelings to be validated, felt, or expressed. Pretending or ignoring feelings of hopelessness, fear, hurt doesn't allow them to be felt. It traps them on the inside, and it can stay there for a very long time. It can be easier to choose to accept that everything happens for a reason instead of feeling vulnerable in those feelings. We cannot become a survivor unless we are able to accept that we were a victim of some sort of pain in our life first. But that means allowing those feelings of hopelessness or fear or hurt to be validated, to exist, to feel them and make it okay to feel them because those feelings were real for us. We know that a victim to survivor is a journey. It's not a timetable. There's no hourglass of sand that tells us when the journey starts and when the journey ends. But what does this mean? What do? We choose to accept that whatever we feel, wherever we are in our own journey of victim to survivor. So take a moment and accept how you feel as I have read this to you, to validate it. And to know that whatever it is that you're feeling, it's okay to feel this. This is a completely safe space. You are in complete control. So empower yourself to express the journey of victim to survivor. And this is the prompt part. So what phase of this journey are you in right now, from victim to survivor? What do you see on your horizon? Think about things in nature that come in phases. For instance, a flower. Maybe when you think about a flower, the victim part could be a flower that was in a drought or didn't have enough sustenance or wasn't provided food. Maybe there's some food insecurity that maybe you experienced when you were younger or even now, and it needs more time to bloom. For me, I like to think of it as the moon. The waning moon is a season to let go of negative thoughts and self-doubt. The things that I have been through in my life, when I think about hopelessness or fear, I think of being able to let it go and not hold on to it. Is it an image of the night sky with dark clouds, but something happened, but you can still feel like, you know what, I'm going to believe that there's hope and there's a peak of the sunrise for better days to come. So what I'd like to do now is show you a couple of examples of what I've created. By no means, I rephrase, I'm not an artist. and invite you to create something of your own that expresses what phase are you in some sort of healing journey of your own. So let me turn off my virtual background and I will show you one of my creations. So this one that I created is made with charcoal, and it is a moon on a river with a tree. And for me, it's the full moon. It's the season of harvest. It's things that I have worked for a really long time. I've overcome the obstacles. And now I feel like I'm providing a home for my family and I have a place to stay that's mine and I feel safe. The other one I started out as a moon. I'm not quite sure what it turned into. But this is what it is. And it kind of almost reminds me of what is it, those Indian for dreams, dream catchers, but I would have to fill in the center of it. That's what it kind of reminds me of. And for me, it's thinking that even though I've been a victim, I've been a survivor, that it's still okay to keep dreaming of how can I be better? How can I continue working on myself to be better? So what I'd like to do now is to invite you to use whatever art supplies you have on hand. It could be pencil and paper. It could be a poem. It could be something written. Find a way to think about, as I was reading that victim to survivor story, is there anything you need to let go of? Is there anything that you've held on to that you want to find a way to finally express it, whether it's good or bad? I mean, what does that look like for you? Does that make sense? So what I'd like to do is turn on some music. There's some relaxing music. You can totally turn the volume down if you don't want to listen to it. I find it help as we're getting all of that frontal stuff out of our brain, having some music on to kind of help us relax through it. And checking back in about 15 minutes and seeing where everyone's at. If you want more time, if you have questions, I'll be here the whole time. Just either do it in the chat or just unmute yourself and chit chat. But for now, let's create something, whether it's a word, it's a poem. I'll invite you to just whatever feelings that you wanted to let go of or express. Let's go ahead and do that now.